screen.
Sure, sounds great. Okay.
All right. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for part 3 of our mini series, Small Plates. This is the cost-saving proteins that give you more bang for your buck. I'm going to introduce our team in the business resource side of things. My name is Matt Wilson. I am the director of business resources. With us and the host who kind of came up and conceptualized everything is Chef Marina Livingston. And then not on the call today, but definitely an integral part of our team is Amy Lichter, and she is our marketing manager.
Sorry, my bad. Got butterfingers for my mouse today.
All good.
When we do this for real, it'll be fine, right, Matt?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once we go through this. All right. So some objectives for today. Understanding the ungraded ranch and grill program and what that means to your business and really maybe the stigma behind that word. We're going to kind of go through that, and both Clint from Cargill and Jason will talk to that. As well, we're going to get to know the protein specialist, Jason Bro. He's up there in the purple shirt. Well, it's purple on our screen and maybe black on his, but and then we're going to learn which proteins will maximize your profits and how to best utilize certain proteins on your menus and maybe even the cross utilization of those proteins. And now I'm going to send it over to Clint from Cargill. So Cargill is one of our Revolution partners. I don't know if we would actually buy any more food from any other vendor than Cargill, being that it's protein and it really is center of the plate and center of everything that we do. So having a partner like Cargill is really integral to the success of not only our business, but also your business. So Clint, you can take it away, and then whenever you want, you can share your screen, and I'm going to mute myself.
Fantastic. Thanks, Matt. So I shared my screen. Is it coming across for you guys? Fantastic. Great. So hi, everybody. My name is Clint Young. I'm a business development manager with Cargill Limited. So we produce, like Matt said, we produce Sysco's beef. We have 2 plants, one in High River, one in Guelph. And out of our High River plant, we produce the Ranch and Grill product for Sysco. And now Matt was saying that Ranch and Grill is an ungraded program. It is. So what I'm going to do today is just take you through what the elements of that program are and what and why it could benefit your restaurant. Okay, so sorry, I just have to get my mouse over here so I can click through this. So as Matt was saying, a Ranch and Grill is an ungraded program, but you know, ungraded doesn't sound that great. All that means is that ungraded means that it's not an A grade program. Now, there's many reasons why cattle don't make the A grade. One of those is because of, say, poor muscling for whatever reason. There was a birth defect or something like that. I mean, it happens. They're not peas in a pod. So here's all the grades on the screen here of how cattle are graded. So here's all the A grades that you're typically used to, Canada Prime. Now, if anything is ungraded, it could fall into these grades below. And with the Ranch and Grill program, we select specific grades to put into that program. So, you know, the meat is still youthful. There's still some marbling in the meat. There's very few of these B1s cattle that go into the program, but you know, it's not sloppy canner cow meat that we typically use for ground beef. These are good cuts that you can use for steaks on your menu. The marbling will range. There'll be a range of marbling that will typically fall within the same range that the marbling does within the A grade. But when the carcass goes past the grading stand, when the grader's looking at it, let's say there's some deficient muscling or something like that, or maybe it's a dark cutter, the meat's a little more dark than we like to put in the A grades, it gets put into this ungraded program. So it's perfectly fine. It's marbled. You are going to get a range of marbling with this program, so it's not consistently double A or consistently triple A or consistently A, but it is good quality meat. And Sysco does age this program for 21 days to make it more tender. So you will get performance for this, and it's a good value program. So I'll take you through the elements of what this program has, okay?
Yeah, thanks so much for clarifying all that, Clint, because I feel like that slide right there was such a myth busters, honestly, for things because different places have different ungraded programs and things like that, and so I think they can all get lumped in together. But what I've purchased, as a customer before I worked for Cisco, the ungraded program, and what I did find exactly as you said was really that the main differences you see is the marbling. So that's the inconsistency from this product. But other than that, you do get a very solid beef cut, and it's fantastic that way. So I think it's just about using it in a savvy way, which Jason and I will discuss later. But just had to interject there. Go ahead.
I appreciate that because you know what, it made me think that I should maybe spend a little more time on this too, because one thing I forgot to say, so I appreciate you interjecting, is that when you are coming across other ungraded programs from other vendors, it could be anything within here, you know. It could be can or cow stuff. It could be, stuff that's not that savory. And so if you're comparing prices versus your Cisco sales consultant, and they're telling you that this is what my price is, and here's an ungraded program. It's not the same program as the Packer programs. I mean, we even sell Packer box ungraded stuff, and that stuff can be a wide range of anything. This is a much tighter specification. These D1 cows here, they're cows that are finished on grain. So they're meant to be marbled and stuff. And there's actual cow programs out there. We have one that we sell, this D1 program. All of this goes into the Ranch and Grill program. So bear in mind that you're getting a premium program. This one's going to have single A, double A, or higher marbling score with it. It's going to have very good trim specifications. We worked with Cisco on the trim specifications for this program. You're going to get 1/4-inch trim. You're not going to get a myriad of different things. So bear that in mind when you're looking at the pricing of this program. There's a full range of food service cuts, which I have on a slide that I'll show you later. White fat is the preferred meat color. Now, I would say probably 95% of this is white fat. You're going to have the odd amber. There's no yellow fat in this program.
Clint,
Yeah.
just for customers, can you explain white fat, and then you said amber and yellow? Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, what happens is when you have a different color of fat on the meat, it makes it taste a little differently. So you might find, for example, if you're eating US beef, the US cattle are finished on corn, whereas the Canadian ones are finished on barley. So the barley is going to yield a white fat, whereas the corn will yield a yellow tinge to it. So it's going to change the flavor on that as well. If you have a cow that has yellow fat, then it might actually with the yellow fat, it'll be a little more greasy and sinewy and stuff when you eat it. But this is a white fat. This is a white fat slash and very little amber fat, like I said, in this program. Okay. The other thing as well is this is a small box program. So your Packer box is typically 60-pound boxes, and the cattle are getting heavier and heavier. So when we originally developed the Packer box program, it was 60 pounds. It can move all the way up to 90 pounds. These boxes, they're huge boxes. This is a small box program that Cisco has, so a lot less cuts per box. It's going to help you with your inventory management. It's going to help you with your turns. It's 100% Canadian beef with this program, and Canadian beef has been well known for its high quality globally. Like I said, this is aged to a minimum of 21 days. Now, and I have a slide on this that I can talk about aging, what it does, but it just makes it a more tender eating experience for your patrons. And it delivers a flavorful eating experience because it's marbled, because it's aged, because it's Canadian beef. It's a very good program.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of specs attached to this program, and I think that's why ungraded is a bit of a misnomer, is because it truly is it's graded. It's just not in that A class. So I think that's why we can get confused on it almost easily. So, but there's quite a bit of specs to keep it very consistent and high quality product still.
Clint, I find that customers often ask, so this is a commercial product. Could you explain the difference between commercial and our ungraded program?
I apologize. I don't know what you mean by that.
Like the commercial beef is usually mature and older beef. That's what customers kind of ask with our side, and dark cutters are very common. So I was
Yeah.
just, so I know we will see the occasional dark cutter, but it's not all mature beef. It's younger.
Yeah. Yeah, no, if you get mature beef, so a lot of what they call them utility cows and canner cows or mature beef, you'll find that sometimes manufacturers will use those if they're marinating the heck out of it and, you know, cooking it well done and all this kind of stuff. They'll use that. It is the mature beef is also popular for like thin slice stuff where it's, you know, it doesn't matter how tough the beef is because you're slicing it so thin, you know, it's not going to matter. But yeah, and sometimes people, you know, unfortunately people will buy that product, put it in their counter, and the consumer comes in and they won't. I mean, beef is a very complicated product, and if they don't know what they're looking at, they'll buy it, they'll take it home, they'll eat it, and then they might associate that with a eating experience of beef, you know, versus an eating experience of, hey, I just ate a utility cow, you know. So this program, it is upscale from that for sure. It is way better than like a utility beef program is very lean. The muscles are you know, they like a strip loin on a fed animal. The eye on it's like this. Strip loin on a cow can be like that, you know, because the muscling is deficient because these animals have matured. And the reason that that happens is if heifers have a calf for the rancher, and then they keep getting bred and keep having calves and stuff. Well, as you know, when moms have a baby, their hormones change and everything like that, and their body changes. And so the more babies you have, the more it changes, and that's what happens to their muscles and stuff, right? So, and then unfortunately when the animal's done calving and they can't calve anymore, well, then the farmer's going to sell, or the rancher's going to sell them for slaughter, and then we use them for ground beef typically. But anyhow, this program has the animals that are going into this program, if they're mature animals that have been fed to marble out, they'll be really nice. And if they're animals that are either the B1 or the B4 grade, typically the rancher will have thought, well, hey, that animal, it's a steer heifer, and it's going to catch a grade, you know, it's going to be fine. And then it gets past the grading stand, and the grader looks at it and goes, well, you know, no, it doesn't fall within our A program. So that's the difference. Long answer, sorry.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So here's the lineup that Cisco carries. So there's a full line of food service cuts. There's beef briskets, chuck flats, inside rounds, bone-in lip-on, so that's the bone-in rib. There's the boneless lip-on, so that's the boneless ribeye, 2x2, the top sirloin, butt, the strip loin, and the beef tenderloin. And you can see that they're a smaller box here. So I actually have a slide that will show you the difference between this program and the packer boxes as well. So this slide talks about aging. So just to take you through what aging does, all butcher's block beef, or sorry, my apologies, all ranch and grill beef is aged for 21 days, okay, to enhance flavor and ensure outstanding eating experience. So the moment that the animal is slaughtered, it goes into a state of rigor mortis, okay, it's less tender until the 6th day, and then it kind of normalizes. Then as time goes by, this beef is in a cryovac, so it's and it's temperature controlled. So it's aged, it's called wet aging. And what happens is the enzymes in the beef break down the muscle fibers, and it makes it more tender. And by the time it hits the 21st day, it is kind of hitting diminishing returns. It looks like this is going down here. So this is kind of a bad logarithmic curve, but it does get a little more tender as you go along. But really the 21st day, that's where you see kind of the maximum benefit, right? And it creates a more tender, flavorful product. It creates a better eating experience for your patrons. You know, when they bite into a strip loin, they're not going to be, you know, struggling to chew it. It's going to be a nice eating experience for them. Okay.
Clint?
Yeah.
I have a question, just with
Sure.
regards to the aging. No, this is on the wet aging, and we don't release any of our butcher's block or ranch and grill until at least 21 days. But customers may have fears about aging past there. Is it still good? What if it's 35 days? Can you talk to what the expectations are and maybe add some comfort level?
Yeah, sure. And I'm not a quality assurance guy, so I have my opinion, and we have our Cargill policies. But typically, what happens when you're aging beef, if it has a bone in it, then it's going to be the things that impact aging and the time are the temperature that the product is kept at, whether the cold chain is maintained, whether the product has a bone in it or not, and how much of the meat has been exposed to air. Okay, so that's why ground beef has such a short shelf lifetime, because after 20 days you can't eat it anymore, because and that's 20 days in a chub, right?
Yep.
Because it's been
That's
exposed to
because
air.
the air will also allow for the bacteria to grow and
Yeah, exactly. It spreads all the bacteria around. So with bone-in product, typically when we see beef hit that 30-day mark, if it's been temperature controlled, when it hits that 30-day mark, just to be safe, we'll throw it in the freezer. Then with boneless product, when the beef hits about the 60-day mark, we'll throw it in the freezer, just to be safe. But I've heard of people brag about how they've taken beef and they've aged it beyond that because they put it in the bottom of the fridge and it's been colder, and that happens. There's some operators, there are some, not operators, some food service distributors out there that they will take the product and they'll put their cooler to 1 degree instead of 2 degrees Celsius, and they'll brag that they age the product longer. Well, they have for a longer period of time, but the enzymes have slowed down during that process because the temperature was colder, right? And so it's almost equivalent, whereas if you take beef and you age it and you put it on at room temperature, it's lasts long, right? Because enzymes are like waking up and they're like, oh man, and it breaks down the product really fast. So yeah, that's just to let you know. And I know that Cisco maintains a good cold chain. I mean, you guys are federally inspected. We're federally inspected. You have to have that cold chain maintained. So when the operator gets this and it's 21 days age, yeah, for a bone-in product, you're going to want to use it within the next week. For a boneless product, though, you can take a couple of weeks to use it. But like I said, the nice thing about this program is you have a small pack size for the boxes. So you're only going to get 2 or 3 pieces in the box. Tenderloins. So here's an example. Tenderloins, and not everybody orders filet mignon when they go to a restaurant, but your tenderloins are usually packed 10 per case from a packer. This is a 4 per case program. So more than twice as fast you're going to be able to buy these and maintain the freshness. Does that help?
it really does. I've had conversations over the years with customers where they will receive product and it might have 28 or 31 days on it, and there's a fear that, oh my God, you're sending me something that's a month old. And okay, our cold chain is maintained right from Cargill to you. Right, you maintain that, and you're in a very safe spot. Again, we're not in the quality assurance, but it's getting over that thought of, you said 21 days, now it's 30. Do I need to freeze it or throw it out? No, don't do that. Definitely don't throw it out.
You bet. Okay, so here's a slide that compares the Packer Box to the Ranch and Grill program for these different cuts, just to give you guys some examples of why this is a value-added program and why it's better to buy something like this than a Packer Box program. So your strip loins will come 5 per box. The Ranch and Grill are only 3. Same with the ribs, 4 versus 3, 4 versus 2 for the bone-ins. Oh, here I found a spelling mistake. 5 per box on the top butts, 3 per box on the Ranch and Grill. Like I was telling you about the tenderloins, 10 versus 4, the insides 3 versus 2, the briskets 5 versus 4. Boneless chuck flats, those are little pieces of meat. We can get 40 of those guys in a 60-pound, like in a big regular box, we only put 18 in the Ranch and Grill program. So a lot of value by having a small box with weight range product with consistent sizing, because it gives you faster turns, easier handling. Like I've had customers call me and say, hey, you know what? Why are your boxes so big? Like for our packer boxes, why are your boxes so big? Do you know that Mary in the back there, she's, you know, 110-pound lady, and she's got to pick up a box that's almost 100 pounds. Like, why do you guys do this? Well, the beef get bigger, and you know, we do have to react to that with the packer box, but this Ranch and Grill program, that's an advantage that it has. All right, and that's all I have for you today on the Ranch and Grill program. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your Cisco sales consultant, and then they can they can either contact me or they can contact their protein specialist, and we can certainly have answers for you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Clint. And also, if anybody attending has some questions for Clint, you can use the chat message box in there. So just go ahead and throw those questions in there. We can address them, you know, now or at the end. But I'll go ahead and start my portion, and Jason's going to help me out with commenting on some of the proteins and why they're so advantageous right now. I mean, part of the reason we put together this mini series of webinars is because we find that operators are just getting hit hard with either labor issues or inflation issues, and we're just trying to figure out creative solutions to make sure that you're still able to turn profits and produce what you want to do. I think that can also be hard right now, is that, you know, we're having to go away from what we originally intended to do, and I want to show some great and profitable ways that you can still stay true to your brand. So we're going to go ahead and look at some fun dishes. So we just talked a lot about the Ranch and Grill beef program. Of course, I think beef is a really critical protein to be creative with, because it can be so expensive, but it's also very expected on a menu. You can't, you know, not have beef unless you're a vegetarian place. So that's why we wanted to look at some of these. So one of my favorites is the chuck flat, and it's so cost effective. It's a phenomenal case size, and you can do so many different things with it. So, you know, with it being fall and winter, Jason and I were talking about, like, oh, you know, short ribs, bourguignon, really thinking heart smart and healthy and light, right? But these are great dishes, and they're also really easy to execute during service. Yes, they provide it's a bit of a labor of love in the prep hours where it takes time. You might need to be creative with the other flavors you add to kind of bring forth some nuances. But when you're in service, you kind of have it hot and ready to go, and it's almost a plating dish where you don't have to cook so much, right? So that's a really phenomenal one to go about. Jason, anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, you know, with the chuck flat, if you do find that your grading is a little bit lower, braising is a phenomenal way to turn that product into a high-end product. You know, like we can use that in place of a short rib with bone in. These pictures here, the beef bourguignon is a perfect example of something that's traditional comfort food, great for this time of year. And if you were to buy a graded product, you might be paying 20-30% more, and the end result wouldn't change significantly. With this product, you're going to save a few dollars. Instead of putting that money into the purchase, you're going to be putting it in your pocket at the end of the day, and just another way to earn a few extra dollars with every plate you produce.
Absolutely. Continuing on, so we talked a lot about the Ranch and Grill beef, but I wanted to mention that we do have some other Ranch and Grill protein items, including our bacon. So, Jason, do you want to tell them maybe the differences they would expect from, you know, regular bacon versus Ranch and Grill bacon?
So there are going to be some size deficiencies in this box. You're going to find 16, 18, as well as 18 to 22 cuts. Not the tail end like a bacon end, but kind of in between where they take the center cut and that tail end. This bacon is perfect for on sandwiches, on burger toppings, chopping up for on top of your pizza, on a salad, because it isn't perfectly shaped, you probably wouldn't want to use it on your breakfast dish, but when it's hidden in a wrap or on a burger or in a salad, it'll save you significantly, and the visual will not kind of damper the appeal to the customer. The taste is still the exact same as all the other bacons. It's the same process, the same brine, same everything. So you're just getting a bit of value when using it on sandwiches, salads, and other products.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's worth those savings. And a lot of times I think that, you can kind of just hit reorder on things, but now is a great time to be looking at your product list and say, why am I getting the 1618 bacon when I'm really am just using it for my burgers or for, bacon bits, things like that, and this is where you can save those pennies that really add up. So just kind of, not saying you have to change everything, not saying you can change everything on your menu, but now's a good time to just look at some of those high cost items and say, okay, why am I buying this one versus another one? Where can I, and speak to your sales consultant about that. Speak with Jason or I on that if it is protein or anything. But just some good notes for that. Sticking with pork, these are some of the hidden gems, if you will, or profitable proteins that I just don't see out used that often. And again, I think it's because some of them are a bit more labors of love during the prep hours, and so you might not see them as much. But if you can use them, they're incredibly inexpensive, and I think that they still provide like a really cool presentation and an entree option or appetizer option. So the first one is this ham hock. It's not a cured meat. It's just titled ham hock in our system. So but it is basically a pork shank. So much like a lamb shank, you can braise it. You can serve it like this, where it's really beautiful on the bone there. You can turn it into pulled pork or something like that, or take the bone out. But I think, doing this as an entree is so gorgeous. And especially, again, as we're in those fall and winter months, these braised items over sweet potatoes or squash or things like that, really phenomenal. Also on the braised items are pork cheeks. Again, a really cost-effective option. This would also work well as an appetizer because they are fairly small. You can kind of almost serve them in lettuce cups, or have them on a board with other sausages or something like that for kind of a plowman's platter for that type of style, and have like a really cool option, something a bit different that people may not have considered. And then the last one are these pork wings. So this one it is a value-added product, so it's fully cooked, it's deep fryer, ready to go, and toss just like a chicken wing. It really is the pork's chicken wing. And it's not so much that this one is so phenomenally priced, versus it is a better price, but it's also to answer the chicken wing, because what we're seeing now is certain items are becoming so in demand and we're having supply issues. That's just the nature everywhere, right? We saw it with like pallets because wood was so crazy. So when we're seeing supply issues like that everywhere, you have to be creative to offset certain sales. If you have your wing night and you're not making any money on it, why are you having a wing night? Maybe you need to look at other ways to offset those sales. So if you say, okay, we're going to keep our wings because we have to have our chicken wings, and I fully get that. Maybe you say, but now we're going to feature, or we're just going to add on these pork wings, and maybe they're the same price. Maybe they're a little bit less expensive to try and even draw the customer there even more so. But this way, now you're going to split those sales or have some portion of those sales going to the pork so that you have a more profitable option. And it's all about kind of blending it so that you're not just losing money on one of your biggest sellers. Jason, I see you nodding, so thank you for agreeing with me.
You also don't have to bring in anything other than that. You can use all your same sauces you would typically use, give the customer the same options as toppings and sides. So it's nice. You bring in one product, but you can offer it and hopefully increase your sales on your wing night. Yeah,
absolutely. Also, kind of to answer that wing night is mussels. So this is one that I also love, and it is kind of something great in the sense of like, much like, the bottomless wing night or, all of that, you can do bottomless mussels. This one is definitely a little bit more labor than the wings in the sense that you might need to purge them or clean them. We do have some fully cooked options, so you could do that, but you're going to make a lot more money on these than on wings. They have such great plate presentation because they open up and they take a nice big bowl with just using a pound, and then as you can see, you can use them in a bunch of different ways. So you don't, if you just have like one night where you're doing mussels, you can still use the mussels that you have left over for a moule frit at lunch at lunch service, or a pasta, of course, is kind of a quick go-to if you don't have quite as much. And then the boil is also another idea for kind of doing a feature night, if you will. And then lastly, kind of moving still on to seafood items, are these tuna and swordfish steaks. And Jason, you brought up a really good point on this one.
The value you're going to get with a product like this. So I'll start by saying it's a frozen product, so you aren't at risk of losing any of these high-end products, but they're very well priced, and the dollar amount you can sell this in your restaurant is high value. When you look at a mahi swordfish or a tuna dish on a menu, they typically sit between $27 to $35 depending. And the beautiful thing is you can kind of make them seasonal. Like the picture here of the chimichurri is a really nice summer dish, but you can also put heavier flavors like a tomato sauce and olives and a little bit of spice for the winter time. So, you know, your portion cost would probably run you at, you know, 15% food costs, and then your other items would bring you in at around 22, 23, and you're making a nice piece of cash in your pocket with every sell with a product like this. And they're not common. You don't see them every day. So you're putting something neat out, you're running it as a special, you're doing something different than your neighbor, and helping yourself earn some extra dollars in your pocket.
Yeah, so I thought that was a really good point you made, because I had been kind of almost pigeonholed into thinking, okay, like what are our least expensive proteins and how can you do them in a really cool way, which you have, which we can do and we do have. However, there is that element of maybe it's not so much about trying to find that low cost, it's about finding that low food cost percentage, right? So when you look at these items and you're able to sell them for so much, it starts to make sense. Mm-hmm.
Can you just unshare your screen and then share it again?
Oh, yeah,
I just heard that some people were stuck on another screen. So,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, if you can just share it again. Just while you're doing that, obviously we're just talking about the seafood side of things, but I just quickly jumped. There we go. Thank you. I just quickly jumped into our ordering system, and I wanted to talk about the beef and the pricing. And the difference between, let's just say, ribeye ungraded ranch and grill versus a double A ribeye. And if you're going to be slow roasting and shaving, and not presenting prime rib on the menu, but you're going to be slow roasting and shaving, you're looking at almost, well, it can be upwards of 20%, 22% difference in cost. You know, and now it allows you to add prime rib onto your menu at a significantly reduced cost. So that's one of the key takeaways. So sorry to interrupt.
No, yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's what we're really trying to do, is just find these ways to just shave some cost and or increase some profits. And so I hope that gave everybody kind of a sense of how to do that, and where to look at your menu and kind of trim the fat, if you will. And if you have any questions on wanting to either do that with somebody like myself or Matt or Jason, please reach out to your sales consultant or to us directly. We will be sending a follow-up email that will have this recording, the presentations we went through, and our contact information. So you'll be able to reach us direct. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I want to say is when everybody gets the email, there are going to be some links in there at the very bottom of the email to book time with either myself or Amy or Chef Marina, and those can be very hyper-focused sessions with Marina. If you want to dive into you know, the ungraded ranch and grill program even further and different recipe ideas, you know, Marina and Jason can jump on a call with you. And even if it's testing out on an LTO and saying, you know what, I want to dive into this. I want to be able to provide a high quality products at a better price point. How do I do this? So let's do it on an LTO. That it's a great time to spend with Chef Marina and Jason just to come up with some ideation sessions and different ideas. So.
Absolutely.
Great.
Matt, I just want to add to your ranch and grill that you mentioned earlier is that we do have tenderloin steaks in the ranch and grill line as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you're looking to run a nice steak offering as a LTO at a lower rate and charge your customer a little less to kind of draw people in the door, that is a great option as well.
Well, and I didn't know that. I'm not too sure if it's new to the program, but one of the things when everybody is going into a holiday season and planning for some company parties, like the business groups and stuff like that, to be able to offer maybe a twist on surf and turf or you know that a beef like a tenderloin item at a better price point for those groups, that might be perfect. You know, it might be the perfect solution. But you know, I've worked with both Marina and Jason with some of these products and other corporate chefs of ours across Canada, and just seeing, you know, the braising side of things. And fall is perfect when you get into fall and winter. You know, those braised items that really have the that warm comfort food feel to it are really appealing on the menu. And then I see that Mark McGillen, our produce specialist, is on there, but you pair that with some root vegetables and roast those off. It does give that appeal that this time of the year deserves. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, with a tenderloin steak, the marbling on a tenderloin, whether it's A, double A, triple A, isn't excessive. It's a very lean muscle and a very tender muscle.
Mhm.
So by moving to the ungraded, you're not really lowering the quality. It's just a different name. And I think that it's a great value add steak for your menu. And we have it in full muscle, so you can cut the steaks yourself, which will save you a few extra dollars on top of that.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, were there any questions?
I don't see any questions. However, you know, with those that have joined us, if there are any questions, you can put them in the chat. Just use the little call out function and then type away your question. If there are no questions right now, that's fine. Again, later on today, you'll get an email from Marina with all of this information. And you can directly ask the question from Marina, and we'll put Jason's email on there as well as our protein specialist. If you have any questions for him on any of the items that we saw, including diving into the seafood and the pork side. So yeah, the pork hocks braised looked amazing. So this time of year, I'm definitely into braising.
Same.
So I think we're good, Marina. You can wrap it up.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciated the time, and this whole mini series has been great. So thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.